Hey YouTube, this is Steve from Average Joe's Fantasy Football, and we've got your Week 15, Round 1 of the Fantasy Playoffs, start and sit edition for the running back position. Again, this is always going to be based off of full PPR and half PPR. If it is standard, we might have some different insight and recommendations for who you should start and sit. Now, these are your obvious starts at the running back position. These guys should be in your lineup, whether it be they just get the rock plenty of times or they've got a really good matchup and have a successful chance of scoring really, really high for you guys. So again, these are your guys you should be putting in your lineup. Now, running back is one of the tougher positions just because I think there are so few top tier and then everyone else is kind of middle to, of course, non-existent. So these are my recommendations for my first start. I've got Isaiah Pacheco versus the Texans. Texans are the worst against running backs, allowing an average of 27.4 points combined to running backs, a league worst 141 yards on the ground. Pacheco is absolutely the lead back in this Chiefs offense, and he's been averaging 13 points a game, even with McKinnon doing what he's been able to do, because Jerick McKinnon is another nice little sleeper out there. Chiefs should be up, which will allow Pacheco to really close out this game, to actually have a decent running game. I could see him getting 80 to 100 yards, a couple passes his way. And again, nice little touchdown will help obviously add even more value, but I like Pacheco's matchup. I think the Texans, again, they allow a lot of yards, man. Even Jerick McKinnon, if you've got him, he's a nice little flex play, but I like him a lot this week. Another running back I want to recommend is Devin Singletary versus the Dolphins. The last outing Singletary had against the Dolphins, he put up 24 points. Now, mostly that was through the air. He had 9 receptions, 78 yards, and a touchdown. I don't expect similar performance. That's not something he's going to replicate. That's not what he's known for. But I do like the matchup again. There's going to be a lot of heavy snow in this game, which means the running game really takes over. And I think, obviously, Cook being in there does eat some of his snaps and take some of that away from him. So I'm a little worried with that, but I like this aspect. The Dolphins have been allowing over 25 points per game in the last 2 weeks and allowing 8 receptions per game as well the last 2 weeks. So again, depending on how this plays out, how the weather is going to really truly be, we'll find out more because this is a Saturday night game, so it's not too far away. I still like Singletary as a nice little play. I'm not saying he's an RB1, but I like him as a nice mid RB2 for you guys. Now, Latavius Murray, I'm going to mention again. He didn't do well for me last week. He's going against the Cardinals this week. Now, the reason why I like Murray is not just the matchup, but the fact is there's a good chance Russell Wilson does not play, right? That game where I thought Murray was going to actually do really well, they essentially just negated the running game and went to put all the pressure onto Russell Wilson, and he actually did well. It was one of his best games that he's had all season, and then, of course, unfortunately, he gets hurt. Now, this game is unique just because of, unfortunately, you've got Colt McCoy at quarterback, and then we'll see what happens to Russell Wilson. So there's going to be 2 possible backups playing in this Cardinals-Broncos game. And I think the ground games are going to be way more important in this aspect with James Conner, who you could put up as a nice little start, and then Latavius Murray. So, again, I like that. I think he's going to see an increase in touches. He's going to have to be. And the Cardinals have been allowing 19 points to running backs the last 3 games as well. So, it's, again, a nice little matchup. Now, the first running back I'm going to mention as a sit is Kenneth Walker versus the 49ers. The 49ers have not given up more than 13 points to a running back since week 5, which was Christian McCaffrey, who is now on that team. So, the fact is, the best running back that's performed against them is on the 49ers team. So realistically, Walker, I don't expect to have a great game. Now, Walker's coming back from injury. He is going to play this game, it looks like. So even with that, I think they're still going to sprinkle in Homer in there as well, just to kind of help Walker kind of ease back into it. But this is the Thursday night game. So, and it's against the 49ers, who are a really good defense. They have allowed the fewest yards to running backs at 57 yards. So the Seahawks need this win, but I don't know if it's going to be put onto Kenneth Walker's shoulders or if it's going to be Geno. I think it's more going to be Geno's side. But that 49ers team is just, they look amazing right now. So I'm going to sit him this week. Travis Etienne is another guy I'm looking at sitting. He's going against the Cowboys. Dallas has been really good against running backs as of late. The last 4 games, they've allowed only 12.3 points and under 80 rushing yards. Early in the season, the Dallas Cowboys have given up a lot of yards, but realistically, the last few games have been phenomenal. Also on top of that, Etienne has also struggled as of late, with the last 4 games only averaging 5.7 points a game. He's not the RB1/RB2 that he was earlier in the season, and a lot of it's being put under Trevor Lawrence's shoulders. That passing game is really taken over. So for me, I'm definitely looking at other options. I don't think Etienne is the running back that we had hoped he was going to finish off with, and this is a really tough matchup. Now, the last running back I want to mention is a good sit this week is Nick Chubb versus the Ravens. Now, I'm probably the only, I would say, fantasy content or analyst who's probably thinking Chubb should be sat this week. Unless you don't have other options, at running back, then obviously you're going to have to play him. But if you have other great options or other, I would say even decent options, I think Chubb is someone you may want to consider sitting. He has struggled the last 2 weeks, averaging 8 points a game. On top of that, Baltimore has been great ever since adding Roquan Smith. He's been a game changer for that defense. They've been phenomenal. He's been getting after the running backs. He's been stopping the pass. He's been a really great addition. The last 5 weeks alone, the Ravens have only allowed 11.4 points to running backs. And that was with a nice little 20-point performance in the middle with Hasty, which was kind of out of the blue. It's not something you normally see. So think about that, 11.4 points, and that was with a 20-point game in there. So the Ravens are phenomenal right now against the run. Nick Chubb, I'm worried about him. He has not performed well. I think he's only averaging 8 points, like I mentioned earlier. I'm sitting Nick Chubb if I have other options. Now, a nice little sleeper is J.K. Dobbins versus the Browns. I like Dobbins this week. With the quarterback situation going on with the Ravens, they're going to look to obviously use Dobbins and Gus Edwards a lot more. Dobbins had 120 yards and a touchdown in his first game back from IR. He just looked really good. He looked fresh. He looked quick. He was moving around. He came out of that last game healthy, which is great. Browns allow 113 yards on the ground and have held backs. But they have, again, one thing I will give credit to the Browns, they've held Dameon Pierce to 12 points, Joe Mixon to 12 points the last 2 weeks. So that is a little bit of a thing I want to mention just because I know you got to know the stats. You got to know what you're going up against. But I do like J.K. Dobbins. They're going to have to rely on the run, especially with the fact that obviously Lamar's still out. Huntley's most likely out, which means you're now playing with Anthony Brown at quarterback. So that running game is way too important right now. So those are my start, sits, and sleepers for the running back edition for round 1 of the fantasy playoffs. If you guys do have questions of who you should be starting and sitting, of course, hit us up in the comments down below. We're going to try to give you the best advice we can. Of course, it's ultimately your decision to make, but I want to give you all the stats to help you guys get that right position in there. On top of that, if you guys haven't already, check out our start and sit quarterback position as well. Obviously, we'll be dropping our wide receiver and tight end as well there. Those should be dropping real soon. If you guys are new to the channel, but you also enjoy the content, make sure you hit the subscribe button and that notification bell is on. It is greatly appreciated. Of course, if you hit the like button, it is also greatly appreciated. And share among other teammates, not necessarily your league mates, but other league mates you may know that might need some assistance for you guys. Again, share these videos. It is greatly appreciated. And I'll check you guys out next time.